And now often it's a claim that Peter was the rock that Jesus built his church on. Jesus tells him, "Thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." If Peter was the rock that Jesus built his church on, it would have made a lot more sense for him to say to Peter, "Upon you I will build my church." But Jesus actually says, "Upon this rock I will build my church." Now yes, Peter's name also means rock, but this was really Jesus reminding Peter of who he was, and yet Peter was not the rock that the church was built on. You see, this rock that the church was built on was the affirmation that Jesus was the Christ, the Son of the living God.
So this is something that even when I was a Protestant, I understood. I would never make the claim that this person just made, because it's not only is it novel, new, but you can't find it in the early church. You can't reference one single early church father who interprets it the way that guy just interpreted it. But it denies grammatical flow, defies the basic reading, it defies logic, as we'll see. So I'm going to point out 2 to 3 things of why, even as a Protestant, I'm not even taking a Catholic view in this, why from a Protestant view I held to the early church reading of this. So let's just read the verse, Matthew 6:18, "And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I build my church." So you are Petros. You, Peter, are rock. You are rock. And upon this I will build my church. Upon the foundation. Petra is just the feminine version of Petros. So grammatical flow, Jesus directly addresses Peter, changes his name, and says, "On you I will build the church," right? And we know that Christ does this, and God does this in the Old Testament, and Christ fulfills the Old Testament over and over and over again. That's the whole purpose of why he came, is to bring fullness and fulfillment to it. So you cannot understand the new without understanding the old first. God frequently changes his names to signify a new mission: Abram to Abraham, Jacob to Israel. And Jesus is giving Simon this new name because he's saying, "I'm leaving, you build my church, and on you the church will be built. I did the mission, now here's a new mission, changing your name, go and do." It's not hard, it's just basic grammatical logic. But even without using the affirmation of Peter's role in Scripture, the early church almost unanimously saw Peter's confession and Peter as the rock. St. Augustine, Carthage, or Cyprian of Carthage, Tertullian, on and on and on. You cannot find a single father who references it the way that this guy just did. Further, though, I like to point out the linguistic nature of the text, because I think it's very important just to keep logic within logic, right? So, we can read the original Greek, kai ego de so, there you go. Now we can go into that, but you don't even need to do that. You can read the translation for what it is. You are Peter. So you are the rock. Petros, you, not me, you, Peter, are Petros. You. So I don't know where we get the flip around. Christ is talking about himself and reminding Peter that Christ is the rock. Where do you even get that from the text? You can't even back that up using the basic text. And Protestants, as a Protestant I was, love just says Scripture. Show me in Scripture. You can't show this in Scripture. You have to stick with what Scripture says. The demonstrative pronoun, this, refers back to something already mentioned. The most immediate antecedent is Peter. So this, the most immediate thing that Christ is talking about, is Peter. It's not himself. There's no surrounding context or Scripture that points to Jesus talking about himself. The most immediate one is Peter. So we already logically show he's talking to you, the subject is Peter, and the demonstrative pronoun, the clear antecedent, is Peter. Then you have the definite article, which makes it clear that Petra refers to a specific rock, the one Jesus has just named, Peter. And further, you have, "I will build my church." Here the subject is I, meaning Jesus. So now we have Jesus talking about I. He says I. He identifies himself now. He is the one doing the building. But the church is being built upon the rock, previously identified Peter. At no time does Jesus identify himself as the rock. Not once. Then you have the linguistic play of Petros and Petra, which is rock and foundation, which we already discussed. There is no, you can even look at it from the Aramaic. You are Kepha, and upon this Kepha will build my church. So you missed the play without actually reading in the original Aramaic. But upon this, upon what? This. What is this? Kepha. Okay, who's just named Kepha? Peter. So it's incomprehensible to identify Christ and change the text and manipulate the text, even though it's like this, it's covered in this illusion that, oh, we just want everything to be about Christ. Well, it's covered in that notion, but it's wrong. And I think logic speaks for itself here. So, no, Peter is the rock, and the whole of the early church affirms this.